a dream we shared. From the very beginning of our marriage, having a child was always part of the plan. It wasn't just something we mentioned in passing. It was a shared dream, a vision of our future that filled us with excitement. Jessica and I spent countless nights imagining what it would be like. Would our child have my eyes or hers? Would they inherit my calm nature or Jessica's fiery energy? What kind of parents would we be? These weren't just idle thoughts. We were building our life around this dream, planning for the future with the belief that one day our love would create something greater than ourselves. We had everything mapped out. We waited for the right time, wanting to be financially stable first, so our child could have the best life possible. We talked about baby names. Jessica loved traditional names, while I leaned towards something unique. We imagined how we'd announce the pregnancy. Maybe a creative surprise for our families, or a special dinner to celebrate the news. We even pictured decorating the nursery together, choosing soft colors, warm lighting, and little details to make it feel like home. For years, this dream was our motivation. Whenever life got tough, whenever work became stressful, whenever things felt uncertain, we reminded each other, one day we're going to be parents, and everything we're working for will be worth it. It was our unspoken promise. Or at least, that's what I thought. Jessica had always seemed genuinely excited about being a mother. Whenever we saw a family walking together, she'd squeeze my hand and say, "That's going to be us one day." She sent me pictures of baby outfits, tiny shoes, and cribs, things she wanted for our future child. She even started following parenting blogs, baby name forums, and pregnancy advice pages. It made me feel secure, reassured that we were on the same page, that we both wanted this, and that when the moment finally came, it would be one of the happiest days of our lives. Like any couple, we want to be prepared before bringing a child into the world. We focus on building a stable home, a strong foundation, and a future we could be proud of. We save money, discuss schools and neighborhoods, and learn from our friends who had already become parents. Everything was set. Everything was ready. We were just waiting for the moment to finally happen. And when it did, I thought it would be the best day of my life. Instead, it became the day that destroyed everything. For years, Jessica and I had built our marriage on one shared dream, to have a child together. It was our promise, our future, the foundation of everything we believed in. But life is a cruel way of twisting dreams into nightmares. The day I found out I couldn't have children was the day I realized not everything is in our control. We had been trying for months. At first, we were patient. We tracked our cycles, adjusted our schedules, and kept telling ourselves, it'll happen when it's meant to. But as the months passed, nothing happened. Jessica wasn't getting pregnant, and I could see the frustration building in her. At first, she was understanding. She'd say things like, maybe we're just stressing too much. Let's relax and let it happen naturally. But then, her tone changed. She stopped saying we and started saying you. Maybe you should get checked out. Have you ever considered that maybe the problem isn't me? I laughed it off at first, but deep down, something inside me sank. The thought had already crossed my mind. After months of trying, I finally made an appointment. I told myself it was just a precaution, that everything would be fine, that maybe we just needed more time. But the moment I sat down in that sterile, white-walled office, I felt a pit in my stomach. The doctor was calm, professional, but direct. After running a few tests, he sat across from me with serious expression. "Jake," he said, "I need to be honest with you. Based on your results, you have extremely low fertility. Your chances of naturally conceiving a child are almost non-existent." For a second, I just stared at him. I felt like I had been punched in the chest. "What?" I choked out, barely able to speak. "There are treatments," the doctor continued, "but the likelihood of you fathering a child naturally is very, very low." I swallowed hard, my mind racing. This wasn't just bad news. This was the worst possible news. I had spent my entire marriage dreaming of being a father, and now that dream had just died. I went home that night, my hands shaking as I unlocked the door. Jessica was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, completely unaware that our entire future had just collapsed. She only grew colder. The distance between us felt like an open wound, raw and unhealing. "Hey," she said one evening, barely glancing up from her phone. "Hey," I replied, trying to sound normal, though nothing about us felt normal anymore. She sighed, standing up and grabbing her purse. "I'm going out." "Again?" I asked, my voice softer than I intended. She shot me a look, one filled with something I couldn't quite place. Maybe annoyance, maybe indifference. "Yeah, Jake, I need to clear my head." I nodded, even though I knew the truth. She wasn't clearing her head. She was escaping me. The late nights became more frequent. She stopped answering my texts. She barely came home. And when she did, the smell of perfume that wasn't hers lingered on her clothes. The air between us grew heavy with words left unsaid, with accusations neither of us voiced but both understood. I wanted to believe it was just a phase, that she was just processing everything in her own way, that maybe, just maybe, she'd wake up one morning and realize that love, real love, wasn't about conditions or expectations. But I was wrong. One night, she didn't come home at all. I sat in the dark, staring at the front door, waiting for a woman who no longer belonged to me. And when the sun rose and I still hadn't heard from her, I finally understood. Jessica had already left me. She just hadn't said the words yet. She sat there, smiling, waiting for me to believe her. But I didn't. The weight of her words crushed the last remaining pieces of my heart. I wanted to scream, to demand the truth, to ask her how she could sit there and look me in the eyes after everything. But I didn't. Instead, I just nodded, forcing a small smile. "A miracle," I repeated. Jessica let out a breath, relieved. Maybe she thought I was too broken to question it, too desperate to believe anything other than the lies she was feeding me. But I wasn't. I saw through her now, clearer than ever. I stood up slowly, my hands resting on the table to keep them from shaking. "I need some air," I said, my voice hollow. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. The first time in months she had touched me, and it felt like poison. I walked out of the house, the cool night air hitting me like a slap. My mind was spinning, my stomach turning. I wanted to believe that somehow, some way, this wasn't what it seemed, but I already knew. Jessica had been waiting for an escape, and now she had found it. Jessica woke up to a reality she never saw coming. At first, she probably thought I had just gone to cool off, that I'd come back, apologize, and given like I always did. But when she reached for her phone to text me, nothing. Message undelivered. She tried calling, straight to voicemail. Confused, she opened her banking app. And that's when it hit her. The balance red set in. She checked her credit cards, declined. Her health insurance, canceled. Then she logged into our apartment portal, and reality came crashing down like a tidal wave. Eviction notice pending. I could only imagine the look on her face. The disbelief, the growing dread. She had spent months planning her escape, never realizing that I was planning mine. Jessica thought she could betray me, lie to me, manipulate me, and I'd just take it. But she underestimated me. She thought I was weak. She thought I was desperate. She thought I'd be too broken to fight back. She was wrong. By the time she even realized what had happened, I was long gone. No goodbye. No second chances. No closure. Just silence. And as for the man who got her pregnant, well, I hope he was ready. Because he wasn't just getting a baby, he was getting Jessica. And now, she was his problem. That was the last time I ever saw Jessica. As I walked away from that coffee shop, I didn't feel anger or hatred or even satisfaction. Just peace. Because for the first time in years, I was truly free. Jessica had made her choices. She had thrown away everything we built, believing I'd always be there as her safety net. But life doesn't work that way. Actions have consequences. And now, she had to live with hers. Meanwhile, I had moved on. I had built something better. A life filled with genuine love, with someone who actually valued me for who I was, not for what I could provide. The best part? I didn't just survive Jessica's betrayal. I thrived because of it. And that was the greatest revenge of all.